prayers have all been answered. I finally arrived. The healing that had been delayed has now been realized. No one's in a hurry, there's no schedule to keep. We're all enjoying Jesus, just sitting at His feet. If you could see me now, I'm walking streets of gold. If you could see me now, I'm standing tall and whole. If you could see me now, you know I'd seen His face. If you could see me now, you know the pain's erased.
Well, I just always appreciated him not wanting to, he didn't do any drinking, he didn't smoke, and he was always wanting to do something and be involved and creating. He was quite a guy to want to create something, and he just kept life interesting because whatever he wanted to do, I just let him do it. I mean, I never held him back. If he wanted to travel, if he wanted to build a motorhome, anything like that, I thought, okay, go to it, guy. If you want to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to finish it because that's what you are.
Dad always did everything he wanted to do in life. I don't think there was anything that he had left to do that he didn't do. All the things he built, all the places he got to go, took me to every state except for 4. We didn't sit still very long. I said there was constantly something going on. Projects or the mobile home. I mean, when he built that mobile home, had to get that up to Silver Lake, built the motor home, to go to Alaska, went to Alaska. I mean, he never let anything stand in his way.
I guess he was a normal dad for those times. I mean, he went, work every day and come home at night. Living on the river, he was pretty active and went water skiing, it seems like, even on weekday nights. Everybody will miss him, and wherever his soul's at now, he's doing something, busy doing something.
We'd have supper and he'd be hop up off away from the table and go to the garage or go to the boat or go to the house he was building or something. Always fun to be around him. I mean, never anything boring. He was always busy, always never sitting still, and he always said, "Never fear, Merlin's here." That's what I always remember.
I would say he was a good man, and he would be a good father-in-law. Whenever I needed help, he was always there to help, and I could always bounce off different ideas from him, off of him, and finally come up with the solution the way I'd want to fix it and everything. But he was always real helpful that way. He was very knowledgeable. No, just gonna miss you, Mer. I know we're gonna take care of your family best we can, and we'll see that everything gets, taken care of good. And I'll see you again someday.
Merlin was one of the best father-in-laws you could have. If ever needed anything fixed around the house, and Bob wouldn't do it, I'd call his dad, because he would come over and fix it for me. As soon as it snowed, he'd be down on a snowmobile to take the girls for a ride in the backyard on the snowmobile. Christmas was at our house that year, and Merlin decided that he always made a project for everybody for Christmas in his woodworking. And this year it was rubber band guns. And so we had rubber band gun fights all over the house. I remember the kids down in the family room downstairs, up in the kitchen, up in the bedrooms. I think I found rubber bands in the house for probably 6 to 8 months afterwards. Every time I turn around, I would find another rubber band that reminded me of Merlin's project that year.
He was an awesome grandpa. He taught me a lot of stuff about woodworking and Volkswagens and dune buggies, and helped me a lot on stuff I was building. I needed an extra hand, or I gave him a lot of help with working on his dune buggies. Or I remember working in the wood shop, and I always wanted to make like a wooden sword, and he'd cut the piece out, and he'd put like a point on the end, and then Bama saw that and had him round it off on the end, saying that's too dangerous.
Well, Grandpa was always the busy type, was always moving and making things, and hands-on and fun and adventurous, and was always the type that was smiling and happy and wanted you to sit on his lap, and just a very loving, caring, hardworking man that really displayed his love in his service toward his family and his grandchildren and anyone that he was close to.
From my perspective, Bappa was the iconic Norman Rockwell style grandpa. He made everything just seem so comfortable and happy, and made for a very happy childhood. I remember waking up at Silver Lake to him chopping wood and having the family Christmas over at his house. I'm certainly going to miss Bappa.
He was a very determined grandpa. When I learned how to drive stick, he taught me on the Volkswagen, the blue dune buggy. It had the loosest gears ever, and I remember him taking me to the corner of it and sitting through 4 lights of not being able to find the gear to turn the corner, and I kept saying, just get out, you do it. I can't do it. And he said, no, you're gonna do it. And he sat there even though I had tears coming down my face, but you know what, I did do it. And so he was very determined, and anything that he put his mind to, he did. And I would say probably one of the best moments that I remember is when Abby was born, and he came down to our house, and I got to put Abby in his arms, and just him gazing at her and, just staring at her and just being in awe of her and stuff. The look on his face was priceless, and you could just tell that, he was falling in love again all over with his grandkids.
He was a kind of a really interesting, cool guy. I mean, especially when you're young and, built all these mechanical devices, and there were all these stories about things that happened to him, like when he made a diving helmet to clean stuff at the bottom of the river, or when he put together some kind of a helicopter kit and got up off the ground, but then it hit a tree or something and crashed. I mean, just the fact that he had all these crazy stories of things that he did that a lot of my friends' grandfathers, were much more, were not quite that active. Just the fact that, I had this really interesting guy as my grandfather was really cool.
That he was my grandfather. Of course, you only know by who you have, and he was probably the grandfather I spent the most time with between my mom and dad's side, and couldn't ask for a more special guy. When you're a kid and you have somebody who's pretty mild-mannered, and then you can hang out with and have stories of building helicopters and flying them and building dune buggies and driving them, and then later on finding out about houses and RVs and everything else. It gives you a lot of stories you can go back and brag about with people you know. I mean, when you're a kid, how much more special of a grandfather could you have than someone with all that? And then as you get older, just the appreciation of how mild-mannered he is, and how great that he and Grandma Lorraine, of course, were together, how long they were together, and he never showed a side. You heard that he could get, frustrated at times with the things he's building, but I never saw that. I only heard stories, and I only, saw the jokes about it, but in front of the grandkids, and I think just who he was himself. What a great guy, and then a good example for us as we're getting families now and having, in our marriages and with our kids.
You wouldn't want me to ever leave this place. brought him glory when I misunderstood. Though we've had our sorrows, they can never compare what Jesus has in store for us. No language can share. If you could see me now, I'm walking streets of gold. If you could see me now, I'm standing tall and bold. If you could see me now, you know I'd seen his face. If you could see me now, you know the pains he raised. If you could see me now, I'm walking streets of gold. If you could see me now, I'm standing tall and bold. If you could see me now, you know I've seen his face. If you could see me now, you know the pains he raised. You wouldn't want me to ever leave this perfect place. You can only see me now. If you could see me now. If you could only see me